I want to ask you, how about you start, Chilu? Um, what is your art, and what does your creative process look like?
So, what is my art? I suppose at the moment it's really influenced by story first. So, I think about the concept, and then after that, I've been doing mostly still life at the moment.
So I become part of my art almost. So I see Chilu, you have this giant piece behind you. I imagine it would be the same if you make like brush strokes. It's like this choreography with your medium.
So I kind of let the painting tell me where to take it. And in the bigger picture, it's either about the first chakra or the second, or a combination of the first and the fifth chakra, or something like that.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. I'm extra excited today because I don't have one guest, two guests. I have three wonderful guests, all of them from our Studio Visit Book Volume 3, amazing artists from all different parts of the world. And I am very, very excited to introduce them to you. How about one of you go first? Who's
Everybody's too shy.
who's going
I'll
first?
go first. Hello.
Oh,
Hello, my name is Chilu. I'm from Australia. It's 1:30 in the morning, so I'm feeling a little bit yeah, just but I'm here. I'm very excited. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Chilu. Thank you for joining us. Okay, who do we have next? Yes.
Yeah. I'm Anna. I'm from the Netherlands. It's 4:30 p.m. here, so we have people from all over the world, all different time zones. I love that. I'm feeling for Chile right now. And I'm a floral artist.
Yes, go ahead. You're a floral artist.
hi, I'm Rajul. I'm usually based in Singapore, but I'm actually in the U.S. visiting my children here in New York. So it's 10:30 in the morning for me. I'm not too bad, but and I'm basically an abstract mixed media artist, painter.
Amazing. Thank you so much, you ladies, for joining us today. We have this episode as a fun way to, for our listeners and our readers and our readership for this Studio Visit Book Volume 3, which all of you are published in, to be able to get to know you a little bit more, who you are beyond these pages. Of course, we're in the business of publishing. We were just talking before we recorded this episode that I'm so excited because when we make a book, we see you all through, you know in and out, and one book takes us about least 4 months to make one book, and we're continually looking at your pages, your spreads. Our team is coordinating with you, but it's so nice to see your faces and being able to speak to you and hear your voices and look at those paintings, not only in the paper here but also behind you now. I want to ask you, how about you start, Chilu? What is your art, and what does your creative process look like?
Oh well. So what is my art? I suppose at the moment it's really influenced by story first. So I think about the concept, and then after that, I've been doing mostly still life at the moment. But I'm hoping to evolve and push beyond that. I'm kind of almost just only 2 years in, so I'm still trying to figure out who I am, where I'm heading. Um, but yeah, it's just been the wildest ride. Art for me is more a relief from anxiety because I used to have panic attacks, but painting is like a meditation for me, and it stops my panic attacks. So at its core, it's relief for me. And then on top of that, yeah, and then on top of that, I've just suddenly found myself painting professionally. So it's a miracle. It's a miracle and a wonderful one at that. So feel very blessed at the moment. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you found it. I also, please, Rajul and Anna, this is not one way conversation. You both can also ask questions to each other. So feel free. This is not a we are just here hanging out. You know, like you said, Chilu, I also have had some very similar experience. And not me, I think a lot of other artists like you and me have an association for art, not only because, we feel creative or there's a desire to paint, but it's also almost like breathing. I lost my mom um, during COVID. And before that, I have so many things on my plate sometimes with the books we do, the podcast, so many things. I used to ask myself this question, that why do I, maybe I, when you have too much on your plate, you keep asking, why do I need this on my plate exactly? And at some point, I felt like I'm just doing this. Do I want to be a painter or an artist just because I feel like there's this in me, or I've been that for so period? But after my mom's passing away, I understood that how much important it is to me for survival, for breathing, for being able to manage myself on day to day basis. So it does not matter if I sell art, create art, do a show or not. For me, what matters is I have to create, because it's like you said, it helps me heal myself. It helps me relieve. It helps me with my anxiety, also to process my emotions, specifically grief, trauma. So I do completely relate to that. How about you, Anna and Raju? What do you guys? What's your association with art?
Um, Anna, you, so I, I kind of have a different pathway to art. It was always a hobby growing up, but art is my second career. My first career, I spent 20 years in healthcare marketing and moved to Japan for my husband's job. And I always wanted to go back to school for art. So I ended up studying art in Japan for 6, 7 years, and I thought I would do more, go along the lines of photography because that was such a big hobby for me. But I actually fell in love with painting, and then living in Japan, it's like you live in this. It's just a beautiful place. Everything is artistically and aesthetically put together, whether it's a park or it's just the food on your plate. So you're just surrounded with beauty and zen and harmony. And so, one of the philosophies in Japan is something called the art of kintsugi, which is where they take broken pottery and instead of throwing it out, they mend it with gold splicing. And the entire idea behind that is one of resilience and renewal. And I fell in love with that concept. And then the other thing I love is color. And whenever I look at an artwork like Rothko or even Monet, I just fall in love with all the colors and the depth and the way they use it. And so what I've done with my work um, is basically kind of continued that entire philosophy of healing from my first career into my art career. Um, and I focus on the chakras of the human body, and each chakra has its own energy fields of color. And so I blend the art of kintsugi to the spiritual concepts of the chakras. And like Chilu, I also suffer from anxiety and depression. I've had for a very long time, and I have found that art, like most of us, gives me a very meditative space, and I love using my hands, and it's just I'm very tactically oriented. And then I feel like it's important for other people to feel the same, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. What about you, Anna? What's your story?
Well, it's a little different for me because I'm a floral artist, so my products kind of wilt. So it's not like paint, you cannot take your time because things will die on you. So there's always this sense of rush and like energy. So for me, it's the complete opposite. It's far from meditative because flowers will die. So my art is very temporary. And for me, the photo is a really big part of it, or a video, because otherwise I won't have anything to show at the end of the day, which is of course fine. But yeah, as an online entrepreneur, yeah. Oh, I feel like it's lagging a little bit. So you are responding, but I still, the sound is a little bit off.
So what brought you to art in the first place? What brought you to this kind of art, in fact? Because painting, these are traditional forms, options that we all have, but making an art form from from flowers to photography and then preserving that. What brought you there?
Well, I was already working with flowers, and then excuse me, my voice is breaking now. So I was already working with flowers, but during the first lockdown in 2020, we've all been there. I suddenly had this idea of making a cocoon out of branches that I could sit in. So I made this life size. I'm 6'2", so it was a big piece. um, and I created this out of branches in my studio because I wanted to visualize kind of what we were all going through, and that made me realize, like, hey, I can do stuff. If I can create things with flowers and branches based on my emotions and on my story, and that really kind of opened this door for me with more beautiful things behind it. So I'm really glad I opened it. And before that, yeah, bouquets and centerpieces are just not interesting enough for me. I mean, I love them, of course, but it's just so, I don't know, normal. Without sounding like mean to other florists, of course, because I love them all.
No, I think there's no artist who would. I think just the view of looking at flowers, it is so therapeutic. It really is like a therapy in its own self.
Yeah, and you cannot do anything wrong because flowers are already beautiful. So it's a quite beautiful medium to work with, but it's also tricky because of the temporary life of it.
I love that. Okay, tell me something. How are you, each of you, in your process? And I'm really interested because all of us, like, four of us included on this call right now, we all make very different kind of art. And, some of us are very intuitive. A lot of us have very tactical approach. Let's talk a little bit about how not only art is not about the final outcome, but also the process that goes into it and how unique and it is exciting for each one of us and what we find interesting. Who wants to go first?
I'm always going first. Someone else go first.
Anna, you go first because I'm really fascinated by your art. With I just it's amazing to me. So please.
Oh, wow. Okay. I kind of lost my train of thought. Remind me, Cheruka.
You were talking of
I was so zoned in on you.
you were talking about that you built a cocoon from branches.
Yeah. So I love weaving branches together. That is the meditative part to me. So you were talking about artist meditation. To me, like weaving branches together is a real part of the meditation. So it's kind of like the old indigenous folks would weave branches together. I'm like mimicking everything with my hands, which is very useful in a podcast. But I love to like the thing I love about creating installations that are that big is that I get to use my whole body and it almost feels like a dance with my materials. So I become part of my art almost. So I see Chilu, you have this giant piece behind you. I imagine it would be the same if you make like brush strokes. It's like this choreography with your medium. And that's something I really love and something I really appreciate about my process. Is that it's just this full immersive experience almost, even if it's not finished yet, even if it starts wilting a few hours after.
How about the two of you?
So in terms of a creative process, to be honest, I'm as I said, I'm very tactilely oriented. I really like to use my hands, and so I'm constantly feeling what I'm painting. So whether I paint on I'll paint on paper. There's washi paper. In Japan, they make washi paper. I've I've painted on tree bark paper, but basically anything that I feel inspired to touch or feel in that moment is what I'm working on. So I always have 10 or 12 different pieces in my studio, and I'll paint on wood or canvas or paper or with a brush, without a brush. but the first few coats of my paintings are always with my hands. I don't know. I just feel like you get up there and it's I think it's a way for me to just kind of calm myself down and get myself ready to paint. But I love to use my hands, and um, there's a lot of texture in my work because of that. And then I just, while I have an overall vision of what color field or what area I'm doing, um, I basically wait for a layer to dry before I figure out what to do with it next. So I kind of let the painting tell me where to take it. Um, and in the bigger picture, it's either about the first chakra or the second, or a combination of the first and the fifth chakra, or something like that. But and then I just mix colors all the time and just see what goes together.
It's quite intuitive, your process, would you say? Yeah.
I guess, yeah, yeah, or spontaneous is another word. Um, you know, it's kind of what I just feel like it needs at the moment.
So fascinated by the tree bark piece of it. Like tree bark paper, I've never heard of that. It sounds so cool.
I troll on eBay a lot just to look and see what they have. And because, to be honest, there's a lot of um, the materials can be, less expensive. So there was somebody, they were selling 100 sheets of tree bark paper, and it was like, I don't know, for $50. And I thought, 100 sheets. And I thought, let me just order it and see what it feels like. And so when I got it's quite thin. And then I ended up basically gluing 4 pages together to make the substrate strong enough to be able to hang on to the paint. And because as I said, I like to use texture in my painting, so I can't have the paper ripping or anything. But yeah, and I basically painted this whole series on tree bark paper and looked at them as like the Japanese would look at scrolls. So I didn't, my objective wasn't to formally frame them, but um, I got the scroll hangers. I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't even know what they're called, to be honest. But and I got them off of Amazon and painted those, and then put the whole thing together. So you can get materials. No, no. I've used half, because the other thing I do with the sheets is, if as I said, I paint with a lot of texture sometimes and paint, and sometimes it's too much. So I'll actually take a sheet and I'll rub it onto the painting and lift it, and it'll be like this whole print on its own. So and then I put those aside because I figure I'll use them in collage, or I'll use it again somewhere else. So I'm pretty, I just use whatever comes to my hand, I guess.
How does a space, since we're also talking about creative process, how much does a space play a role in your own art? Um, Also, what is the studio to each one of us? I think we all have. I was reading this post. So there's this post. I follow someone. I've forgotten that name. Sorry. So there was this photo of Frida Kahlo, Henry Matisse, and some other artist, and all of them were making art from their bed. And the caption said that how the relationship of artists from with their beds is so strong and nostalgic. And I didn't feel that I don't know if that was a norm. I didn't know, at least till then, because for me, my bed, ever since I started, I think that was my first studio. Yeah, having even now I'm here. I think there's this comfortable space to be myself, to feel home, uh, because my life is in a way that I move so much and travel so much. And I love that idea, because I also feel like studio, apart from the traditional studio spaces that we of course look at and we all dream of, studio is a very variable term. I want to hear your stories on how you have evolved and what are your comfort zones, if it's a bed, a table, and how your studios have evolved and impacted your art.
Well, I definitely don't work from my bed. I think my husband will thank me for not doing that. Well, my space is hugely important because when we moved to this house, this is the former garage on the ground floor. We live upstairs. And we completely remodeled it, and I filled it with vintage furniture and flower paintings and a million vases. But since I have this space, I started creating larger pieces. So to me, it made a huge difference because before I just had like my living room and my dining table, and it's just not socially acceptable to make giant installations in your living room. Also because it has to be cold for flowers, and I would turn the heating off and close the curtains, and then my husband would be like, I live here too. So he's very happy I have my own space now. But no beds.
Yeah, definitely for me, I have my own little space. It's in the house, which I actually love because I have two young children. I'm just basically
You have two young children. You look like one yourself.
I'm very old, but I have a 10-year-old and I have
Like, have you looked at your spread? Listen, have you even looked at your spread with balloons and you stars in this dress? You literally look like 16. Don't tell me.
it is add decades on top of that because I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah, so well, actually, because my paintings are deceptively young and joyful, but actually, if you look at them, because like a lot of see both of you, I think Anna and Rajul, when I listen to you, you're very much within the experience and it's very tactile and everything. But with me, I'm often with my children and doing very boring stuff. So I bought these balloons one day with the intention of painting them, and I was sitting there and I was playing Lego with my son, and they were deflating. I was planning to paint them, but preschool illness, all that kind of stuff um, stopped that. But then as they were deflating, I thought, oh my God, that's how I feel. I'm so tired. And my youngest son has a heart condition. So we went through a lot of rubbish with him where we almost lost him a few times. So for me, this particular painting was the first one of deflated balloons that I did because it's showing how I feel, but yet trying to stay positive, stay afloat essentially, and keep going. And so at first glance, people think, oh, what joyful paintings, but generally there's always a deeper meaning behind it. It's all about having some kind of negative influence in your life and trying to turn it around and be positive about it and get through it. So yeah, so that if you listen to the story, then you'll see that I'm much older than I look. Much older than I look in that photo, definitely. I think I just had a good photographer at the time.
You just have a good face. Don't blame the photographer.
Thank you. That's very kind. No one said that I'm 16 lately. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yes. What about you, Raju?
I mean, it's all space driven, right? So in Japan, it was a part of my bedroom, not my bed, but like part of the bedroom. And then when we moved to, and then it moved into the guest room. And then when we moved to Singapore, I was able to have a nice sized room. And definitely it allows you to work on bigger pieces. And it also, I felt like it, it allowed me to be very, to be looser, if that makes sense. You know, I not like, oh, I don't have much space. And here I'm like, I have all this space. So it's a little bit more, I take more big strokes, I've found. So, yeah, and it's a very nice sunny studio. It's kind of my heaven, to be honest. So it's my space. I have like just going up there, it's quiet and it's bright and airy and so yeah, so if I'm sometimes I'll just go up there first thing in the morning just so that I can start off my day with a nice meditative attitude.
Do you feel like having your own space now means that you're able to dream bigger? Because that's definitely been for me, to have my own space and then to get a big canvas and not feel like I'm cramped has been transformative for me. Have you found that? Chiruka's going no.
I mean, it's where I go to work basically. So for me, it's like I step out of. I mean, my children are older, so I completely empathize, Chilu, with what you were saying. But it's like I can actually step out of my role as wife and mom and just step into my professional role as an artist and the other projects that I do. So for me, but that's what works for me, right? Sometimes that doesn't work for other people.
Now that we're speaking about this, each one of you has a very unique experience, work, story. What has individually each one of you, if I were to ask you in one word or in one way, what has been the biggest hurdle for you as a woman artist? And I'm specifically asking you as a woman artist. What would you say that is? Has been at least.
For me, it's time. You, Rachel. Okay, I want to hear more about that.
Let's dive into that. Why do you say that?
I'm my own worst critic. I mean, I didn't formally go to art school. I took classes at an art school. I studied under masters in Japan, but for the longest time, I felt like I couldn't I just felt like no one would take me seriously because I didn't go to art school. And that took me a while to get over. Um,
And what do you say now for anyone who feels that way, who's listening right now? What would you say? How true do you feel about that now?
I would say there's two parts of being an artist. One is your creative side, and anyone can do that. Everyone has talent. You just have to apply some learnings to it, and you don't have to go to formal school for it. So I would say go for it. Then there's the business side of it, which I think you have to figure that. I think that's hard for a lot of artists to kind of figure out. And I would say at least learn that part so that if you want to market yourself and brand yourself and public relations, communications, all of that. That's something you would want to learn whether you go to school or not. But my whole thing is if you're talented and you love it, just do it. You don't have to have gone to art school. You don't just paint, just don't think, just do. That's kind of what I say.
And don't let your inner critic take the wheel. Like I have the two. I'm my own worst enemy. But the most important thing is that you kind of have to accept that the inner critic is here to stay, but you don't want to let it take the wheel. So it's okay. You can sit there, but I'm driving. Depending on where in the world you are, I might be on the other side driving. But it's like you can talk to me, but you are not gonna determine which route I'm gonna take. But it's a learning curve for sure. I agree. Like it's taking couple of years. I've been in business for 12 years, so you would know. You would think I would know better by now, but it's still everywhere. I know. You will all have those days where it's like I suck, and those days are gonna be there, and you just have to.
And we know that's part of the creative process. Like we know that, right? That we've all seen that curve. But yeah, but it took me a while to be like, well, why can't, no, wait, I can enter that competition. Why couldn't I enter that competition? Just because I don't, it just took me a while to empower myself to do the things that I wanted to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, mine. I never, like 2 years ago, I just decided I'd take it seriously. Have maybe did a 6 month, 1 day a week course, and then I got pregnant, and then I did a couple of weekend watercolor classes, and they actually transformed my thinking of color and everything. But then I just started, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do something, and I'll do a serious painting. And I did a big 90 centimeter by 120 centimeter painting. Took me many months. And then I just decided to enter a prize with this first painting. And I thought, it's just good experience. And then I became a finalist in it. And then suddenly I was a professional artist, which And I'm still grappling with that because it's just been ridiculous. And I've felt a bit embarrassed and a bit fraudulent almost, because it's just been quite a quick trajectory, even though I'm an older lady and everything. But yeah, it for me. It's been just not thinking, oh, am I good enough? It's just, you know what? I'll just throw my hat in the ring and see where it takes me. And I feel like that has since then served me well. So now I'm just throwing my art everywhere, and everybody's just got to look at it. So yeah, and it seems to be, yeah. So I've just had my first solo exhibition, and yeah, it was just to see my little boys go there, and my husband, they were very key to encouraging me, because I felt worthless before that as a mother. Nobody cared whether I existed or not except for my children and husband. And they were very key during the pandemic of coming to my easel and saying, what have you done? What did you do last night? Show me. And they'd always say lovely things, and that kind of healed me and brought me to where I am now, I suppose. So anyway, I'll stop talking. um,
Okay. Let me ask you a quick rapid fire. Are you ready? You guys have to be quick, okay? One word. We'll go with Raju, Chilu, and Anna. Okay. Okay. What inspired you to become an artist? One word, quick and fast. What about you, Chilu?
to help my son to talk. Sorry, that's not one word.
What about you, Anna?
Nature, absolutely.
Okay, my next question. What is the most important lesson you've learned throughout your art career so far?
Oh, these are very in-depth questions for rapid fire. See, I'm buying you time, Rajul.
I know. I think don't doubt myself.
Be yourself, yeah.
Anna,
Don't hold yourself back. So kind of in the same what what they said. Ditto.
what advice would you like to give to other women artists who are entering into the art world, trying their, paving their paths?
Don't listen to the rules. Just paint what. Create what you feel.
And just put it out there. That's what I would say. From what I've learned, is just throw it out there and see what the reaction is. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Just try again.
And stay true to who you are.
How do you guys find the motivation to keep creating? Oh, you had something to say?
Yeah, sorry, no, I was just saying definitely stay true, because I have noticed when I try to paint something I think someone else will like,
Yeah.
it's not my best work.
Sorry, Raju, you went on mute.
No, I can't hear you.
You'll have to unmute yourself. Sorry. If you see in front of your name, you'll see a mic. You just have to click on it again.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't know what happened. What was I saying? Oh, yes, please stay true to yourself, because what I have found is when I have tried to paint something that I think someone else would like, it just isn't, it's not good. I don't feel good about it. So staying true to yourself is definitely the most important thing.
Yeah, I've been getting lots of advice from well-meaning people about where I should go and what I should do. And I'm normally quite gentle and accepting, but now that I'm at this point in my life, I just think life's too short to just be somebody else. It's torture.
And they always give advice from their point of view. They don't know your point of view. So it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Had a few upset people who've thought, why aren't you doing what I suggested? I think because it doesn't make my heart sing. Yeah.
Okay, one last question. What is creative success or success for you individually as an artist, as women? What does that look like for you? What does being successful mean to you? If
Is this a one word answer again?
I'll give you some.
Thank God, because I was thinking, what's one word?
Glad I'm last in row.
Who wants to go first?
For me, success is when the viewer of my painting feels a sense of meditation and renewal, when it makes them feel better.
Oh, it's lovely. I was thinking, go first, Anna. You go first, Anna.
I'll go first.
Yeah, I know I am. I am.
I think to me, when I get to successfully share my story with what I create and make other people feel seen and heard by connecting like my emotions and what I've been through in my art, because being seen is like a big part of my, I don't know, childhood trauma. I think not one word. Sorry.
I gave you grace. Now it's your turn to. You can't run away for far too long.
There's multiple layers of success, I suppose, but at the core of what my purpose is, what drives me to be in this podcast and showing my face is that I am donating 15% of all my profits to the hospital that saved my son's life many times. And they will, yeah, oh, thank you. And they will continue to save him because our journey is not over, unfortunately. But for now, we get to enjoy life. And so an artist doesn't earn that much, but I'm praying and hoping that by the end of my life, that I will have made a significant contribution. So that at the core of everything is what I define as success, which is why I'm trying really hard to build up my profile so that there is value to my art. So that's what I would define as success. But that's when I die. When I die will be when I get success.
Which is not for a long time since you're 60.
That's right. I've got plenty of time.
You have a long way to go. Add lots of balloons and colors to the people that you love and share. Your work. Look at the spread that you have. It already shares so much of light and positivity. So I can't even imagine what it feels like to be when meeting you and looking at your work. So you're already making a lot of impact.
I mean, it just, it's really interesting the people that some of the collectors that have bought my work, they know my story. And like one lady that bought one of my paintings, her son has a disorder. And so she understands. And that's what motivates some of the people to buy my pieces, is because they have been through something really awful and they get the message. Um, and that is another level of success, is talking to my collectors and seeing them be emotionally invested and understanding of the story behind my work. So yeah, anyway, it's all been wonderful. No, it hasn't all been wonderful, but by and large it's been wonderful. I mean, I find it really hard to negotiate the art world because I'm so new to it, but otherwise, yeah, meeting the people that actually buy it, oh my gosh, it's just been so rewarding. Anyway, are we done?
Thank you, guys. I am so grateful to have this wonderful chat with you and to know you and share with our listeners and readers more about you. I will remind again everybody, and I'll have one last question that you can find, let me also tell, you can find these wonderful ladies in the Studio Visit Book Volume 3. And I know you can find Anna on page number 172. You can find Rajul in the article, which is how artists share their inspiration. And you can find Chilu on page number 40. And you can find the book on our website, which is the Studio Visit Book Volume 3. One last thing, before, how do you want to share any of your experience on how has that been working with Arts to Arts project? If you have any, there's no compulsion, but if you want to give us a review, feedback, a testimonial, anything.
So grateful because, well, I said this off air, but I'm so grateful for you, Chiruka, for creating something that gives a forum to women artists around the world, because there is a massive gender disparity within not just the art world, but the entire world. But to give a voice to women is really significant, and it's in many ways it's helping me change my life. So, and that's what you're doing with all of us here. So I know all of us are very grateful.
That is extremely kind of you.
Also to meet
Yeah, I love meeting you both. Yeah.
when we have talked. That's amazing. Like it's a community as well, just an instant community through the book, which is
That's always been our aim.
I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing and all the opportunities that you're putting out there for our voices to be heard and see our art to be seen. And I hope you keep doing it for a long time, because I think women are definitely underrepresented in the art world. And while I say that from a monetary standpoint, but I feel like a woman's voice in general is very underrepresented. So I am also grateful for what Arts to Hearts project is doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Raju. That means a lot to us. Thank you so much, three of you. It's been very exciting to know, to see you beyond the spread, to see your names beyond the emails. We've bothered you a lot. This has been, I also love, I think I was also speaking to my team about it. Like, what's the most interesting part of making these books together is the part we make the book together. There's a lot of back and forth. And I think that it's such a creative process for us also, because we are looking at each spread again and again. We're looking at, okay, this spreads look more, we're also looking at the spread, and why I feel like I remember Chilu's, Anna's spread, and having Rajul in the article section is also because we're reading about them and we're looking at it. Okay, I know Chilu's energy, but now I also got to know your story, have a voice to it. And it's also an intimate process, because it's the community part while we're doing this, that we get to connect with each other. And like you have been in the process, it's a very open-ended process. We are always replying and taking your feedback. How does this image look? If you want to change your text, how do you like your spread? And when we put this together, because when we think of an idea, okay, we want to create a book that focuses on, let's say we've been working on a floral art book, for artists like Anna, and we closed that, and we've been working on that from the idea to 6 months later having a book in our hands. It is extremely overwhelming, but it's also a lot of hard work, and it gets a lot hard to work and sniff through and make so many logistical things happen. But like Rajul said, we truly believe, as a small company who's really trying to push it with whatever we can, with your support. Because if you guys don't support us, if you don't believe in the same vision that we do, if you don't believe in your own voice, we really cannot make a lot of those things happen. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody who also listened to this episode. And I only wish and say that, please continue to support the work of these amazing artists, by very, very few simple things you can do. You can share this episode, you can share their work on Instagram, tag each one of them, Arts to Hearts Podcast, while you listen to this podcast. Their work and Instagram handles will be mentioned in our article. You can buy a copy of the Studio Visit Book Volume 3. You can buy their work. You can recommend to a friend. You can subscribe and follow each other. I think there are so many incredible ways that we can support the work that we do, you do, and each other, because there's growth and success is only when we collaborate and move together. I truly believe that. And I really hope that happens for all of us.
Thank you. Yep.
So lovely.
Thank you so much, guys. Any parting words you want to say? Yes, Chilu has some.
I'm just so excited that I got to meet all of you. And I'm going to go onto Instagram and find you all. Are you all on Instagram? Yes. Okay.
Yes. And we link everybody's Instagram on our show notes. Work of Chilu and Raju, in our show notes of this episode. There are links on Instagram and website. So please take some time and look at their work. Give them a small comment, share some kind words, and do support the project by buying the book, and by supporting their work by also buying their work.
Yeah, and never feel like sending a DM or leaving a comment is too much, because a lot of people feel like I don't want to like stalk you or harass you, but we love like sincere comments from people and from fellow artists, because we're just people behind the screens and not like giant. Even if the account is huge, we're just still people. So we love the genuine comments.
And most of us work alone. So when I have other artists commenting on my work, I feel like, oh, okay, cool.
I actually, yeah, I am, I am such a hermit, and I have to say that being within social Instagram has really raised my feelings about myself and confidence, because you have these people that are just so invested in you and just so kind. Anyway, so I found it to be a really positive experience for me.
My last quote is also that you can also find them on Women in Arts Network, our sponsor for this episode. So we'll also link them. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for making this book a wonderful experience for all of us, for spending your time, energy, and art with all of us. And we only hope this collaboration turns into many more collaborations and success for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.